Okay, for this video, I'm going to be going over your game design pseudocode and flowcharts assignment. So again, I'm not going to go over all your individual question slides because by now you know how to answer those questions. Short answer, true, false, and matching. I do want to point out as we move further into this unit, some of the concepts get a little more complex. So I encourage you to make sure that you watch any videos that I provide and definitely go through and read the overviews. If you don't, some of the tasks and some of the questions are going to be confusing. For this specific video, I'm going to be going over the pseudocoding the shark game part of this assignment. So you are going to be actually taking a scratch game and pseudocoding or flowcharting out the actual playing aspect of the game. So step one, you are going to click on this link here and it will bring you to the actual shark game in Scratch. And you want to click up here in the top right hand corner, see inside. That'll bring you to the Scratch work space here. And whenever we deconstruct a game or we need to flowchart out a game's structure, first thing I would suggest is click the go button and just play the game. So you can see, okay, when I touch the arrow keys, the shark moves up and down, back and forth. When I grab the fish, my score goes up by 1. If I hit the diver, I lose 3 points. Okay, so the goal is to get the fish and avoid the diver. I think I've got it. So go ahead and click stop. So let's go to our flowchart. So again, this looks complicated and confusing, but just like everything else, once you understand it, it will be a lot simpler. So we need to flowchart out that shark game. We are going to use this word bank here to flowchart out the game. So we're going to start up at the top here and then move down. Remember, these diamonds in the middle, that is a decision symbol. So a question should be getting asked, right? Because on the left-hand side, we have an answer of no. On the right-hand side, we have an answer of yes. So in the middle, there needs to be a question. So whenever you are looking to fill in that diamond, look for a phrase in your word bank that ends with a question mark. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is obviously, let's come over here and look at our word bank, is start. So Control C to copy, double click in here, and we're going to do Control V to start. So what is the first question we need to ask? So when we start this game, first question is, am I touching the arrow keys? Right? Because that's the first thing that needs to be done to start playing the game. So let's see if that's a question here. Yes, right here, arrow keys pressed, Control C. Let's put that in our first diamond, Control V. It may be a little too big for the diamond, so just select it and bring it down to size so it fits. Okay, so if the answer is yes to that question, let's go back to our word bank. What happens? Right here, the shark moves. So what we want to do is Control C and then Control V there. The shark moves left, right, down, or up. So what happens if we don't press the arrow keys? So let's see if there's something. Shark cannot move. Okay. So Control C and Control V. Perfect. So we have our first row here. So if the shark cannot move, then what happens? Well, the game will just end. So Control C and Control V. So start. Are the arrow keys pressed? Yes. Then the shark moves left, right, up, or down. No, the shark cannot move. Then the game will end. So what's the next question? So as we're moving the shark, what is a question that might come up? Let's look for some question marks here. Okay, does timer reach 0? Does fish? So let's start with, are things getting eaten, right? Because that's the point of the game. right? So we're moving up. Are the arrow keys pressed? Yes, they are. So he's moving, right? Next, is he eating a fish? That's really the next question. So we'll just start. It really doesn't matter which one you start with, but we can just start with this one. So is fish 2 eaten? If the answer is yes, then what happens? Score increases by 1. So that goes over to the yes side. And you're going to see that some of these answers are going to repeat, right? Because it's similar what happens if you eat fish 1, or I'm sorry, fish 2 and fish 3. If no, what happens? Well, the score does not change. It's as simple as that. Score does not change. So again, I'm not going to go through the entire thing. I'm going to let you finish these last 2 to 3 rows here. But that is how you complete a flow chart. All right, we dissected the game and we are flow charting out how the game is going to operate. So there is also a second flow chart here that I want you to fill out. So what are we going to do with this flow chart? So you can see on slide 22, I want you to start pseudocoding your game. It says now that you've brainstormed and have storyboarded your game, right? The next step is to plan entirely how the game will function. So we've been building up to this. You've brainstormed some ideas. Once you had some ideas you liked, you moved to the next step, which was the storyboard in more detail of how that game would look. And now the next step is not only how is your game going to look, but how will it function? So you can definitely use inspiration from this word bank to pseudocode out your game. Remember, this is your game that you are going to be pseudocoding out. So we're not talking about fish or sharks necessarily, but we're going to be talking about your characters. So make the words in these symbols fit your game. How is your game going to function? How are people going to gain or lose points? So once you're done pseudocoding out your game, you will again end with your short answer and your Google form, and then you will be done with this assignment.